Hello, beautiful people. This is Gail Scott here, and I am very excited today to bring you another message from one of my newer collectives, the Paradigm Shifters. And they are an eighth dimensional galactic council, and they have come forward to help us to understand what Stargate Ascension is. So they've told me Stargate Ascension is our destiny. It's a term that some of us may be unfamiliar with. And it's not that we need to understand the intricacies of what it means, but we do want to begin to understand that we are ascending out of a lower energetic level of being. And we don't have to understand what that means. It just means that having been in the third dimension, which I've mentioned before is a very heavy level of energy, we are moving up into a higher dimension. And we don't have to understand what all those dimensions mean or the intricacies of any of that, but just begin to accept the terminology that we are moving into what they're calling the fifth dimension. And that just means that we're moving into an energy field on our planet that is more love and light. So they brought this message to me today about the ascension process. And they want you to understand that up until this point, we as a species have been living with some habits and some practices and ways of being that we're not going to be able to continue to work with at this higher dimension. These kinds of behavior patterns and habits, they don't work for us. They're not going to help us in this ascension process. This message is specifically geared in some respects to people who call themselves light workers. And this message of ascension is something that they will, if you are that kind of a person, then you're going to know what that means. But they're cautioning me to help everybody understand that it's relevant for everyone, not just people who consider themselves to be light workers. And that there are many ways that we can help ourselves and ourselves as a whole, as a collective, in order to kind of go through this change. They're mentioning that this vibrational change happens at many levels: alchemical, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. And we will begin to notice the changes at a consciousness level where we're, in a sense, wakening up to ourselves. And even for those who have been on this path of ascension already for some time, you will be wakening up even more than you already have. So the paradigm shift that we're going through is something for all of us. But some people will choose not to move forward with it, and that's fine. But for those of us who are going to go through this process, this is not something that we've ever done before. And so it's pretty new consciousness level that we're moving into. And it's very exciting. They're telling me that what is going to happen is that our current consciousness is going to shift into joy and passion and love, and that is going to really be the new place that we sit in, because there are so many additional photons of light that are coming onto the planet to assist us with our ascension. Now, that is a challenge because for some of us, we're going to experience quite a bit of difficulty with this cracking open of our consciousness level, so to speak, from the third level through the fourth. It can be quite tricky because we have been, for many of us, living with a high level of cognitive dissonance. And so that lack of awareness of what's really going on is not something that we could have changed. It's not a bad thing. It just is the nature of how we were existing on the planet up to this point until this ascension time. But there will be more realizations coming forward for you as we are shifting into this new paradigm. So they're really suggesting that you be extremely gentle with yourself, because there are going to be a lot more things coming into your conscious awareness that you didn't know before. And so they're going to shift your perspective around the choices that you have in life. And these are choices that you were not aware of before. You did not realize that you had access to these choices. And that was just because of the vibrational level that we were living at on the planet. So you're going to become more aware of having a choice about how you feed your body, what you eat, about how you live, the kind of lifestyle that you're living in, how you think, what do your thoughts and your beliefs create for you in your current reality. And in a sense, you're going to be almost reassessing your values and your priorities, and they are going to begin to shift because this new dimension, this up leveling of consciousness that we're going through, suddenly you're going to have choice, more choices available to you that you didn't even know you had before. So for the light workers who are watching this, you are going to be the ones who are going to be assisting people on this path. And these are, for those of you who do not consider yourself to be a light worker, light workers are people who've traveled the road already. They've already gone through major shifts in their belief systems and their core values and their energetic vibration. And so for those of you who are light workers already, don't think that you're out of the game here because they're telling me you're not really nearly where you want to be yet either. It's a journey and we haven't got there yet. So as much as we live a journey from birth through growth and death, the consciousness level that we're living with is shifting and happening, and it's kind of a similar experience. We're growing up, so to speak, in our level of conscious awareness. So again, be gentle with yourself, because some of this realization that will come to you, it could be a little traumatic. Now, they're saying to me, it's not going to be something that's dangerous or life threatening. It's just a huge transition, which is going to probably bring you a sense of a traumatic experience. But it's almost as if, when you make a big change in your life and you move house or you change your relationship status or, go into a really new career or something like that. It's a transition. It's as if you're kind of moving from one land to another, but in a sense you really are, except that this time it's vibrationally. And so they're saying the more time that we can spend focusing on joy and happiness in what is our current present reality, the easier this ascension process is going to be for us. So don't look back. Don't look back at what was. Stay in the present of what you're looking at right now. And you might say, well, Gail, what I'm looking at right now ain't too pretty. Well, yes, that's true, but it doesn't help you to be of a higher vibrational level if that's where your focus is. So stay directed into the wonderful things that are going on in your life, the places where you feel loved, where you feel fulfilled, where you're having enjoyment, where it's rewarding, where it's pleasurable. You see, it's not helpful for you to focus on the fear paradigm, because even though that has been infiltrated into our existence over a very, very long time, that's not going to be hanging around. So you don't want to be staying in that place. You want to become aware that there's a new place that you can shift your awareness into, and that is this place of joy and love. And you get to understand that now there are two paradigms. There's the third dimension, which is fear, love, scarcity, restrictions, limitations. And then there's this new place that we haven't really been in before, the fifth dimension, which is full of love, joy, and passion. And so if you can become more conscious of your thoughts and you can ask yourself that question, whoa, how am I feeling? What paradigm am I sitting in right now? Am I living in the old paradigm, the one of fear and restriction? Or can I actually consciously choose to be happy, to expand, to be with something that brings me more pleasure? They're suggesting that you go with the latter and not the former. Now, it does require you to become more aware of what you're thinking. But in that sense of self-awareness, you'll be able to change those thoughts. Now, it's not easy, but it's not impossible. And I tell you that from personal experience. It's almost in a sense just like switching on a light, which in a sense is what you are doing vibrationally, because you don't want to stay in the dark. It's not very fun there. It's very limited and you can't see what you're doing or where you're going, which is kind of where we've been. So this this message that they're bringing us today is to help us in this ascension process. And they use the word ascension, but it's simply a word that overall it describes the experience that we're going through. They liken it to the word up leveling. So if that's a better word for you rather than ascension, then use up leveling and realize that the more that you connect to this word up leveling, you will be increasing in your own personal growth. You'll be becoming more conscious. You'll be expanding your awareness, living more in the present moment, and you'll actually be more centered than you've ever been before. Now, this paradigm shift is not an overnight thing. It's not just 1 minute you're in the fear paradigm and the next minute you're in the love paradigm and you stay there. It's a fluctuating experience where you're going to oscillate back and forth because it takes time for these things to change. And it's also going to take time for all of us to shift over. So, as you become more aware of your thoughts, and when you're in that fear place with limitations, just bring your thoughts back to happiness, back to expansion, back to passion, back to joy, back to the things that make you laugh. And over time, you'll begin to notice that vibration will change. And this is the ascension path, and it is going to help you. There's energy on the planet to help you. And there are people on the planet to help you also. You don't have to do this all by yourself, not really understanding or knowing what you're doing. Um, Now, there's other conduits, other channelers out there that describe this ascension process with different kind of languaging. And that's what's so amazing about the fact that we are all different messengers. So my job here is to really give it to you at the basic level, so that you can understand what's happening. You don't need to know all the details and all the science behind it and all of that. The most important thing right now to do is to really really become conscious of your thoughts, whichever ones don't make you feel good, whichever ones bring fear and stress, and then begin to redirect those into the things that you love and enjoy more. And yes, it takes concerted effort, but as you ask yourself that question, you will begin to become a lot more conscious of what you're telling yourself. And then when you do that and you begin to shift it, your vibration changes. And then your level of enjoyment of life changes too. Now, there might be some out there who think that it's a good idea to be angry at some of the restrictions and limitations that are being put on us right now. And they're suggesting that we don't do that. That is really going to not be good for our vibration. So don't waste your energy on anger or resentment or blaming or feeling guilty about any of the negativity that's out there, or even some of the negative emotions that you yourself have experienced. It's just a waste of your time. Instead, just redirect yourself, focus back into the now, think about how you can be now and live from this place. Now, the paradigm shifters are very direct in their messaging because they've said that they feel it's the best way to communicate this beginning understanding of ascension for us. And so, for many of you who are in the light already, you're already going to know this, but don't be flippant about it. You also have to continue this journey because you are going to be required to assist those who are struggling. And we have to continue to do our own work in order to be able to help those who need our assistance. And so the more that we can keep ourselves in this dimension of love and light and expansion with conscious awareness, the more easily we're going to be able to be compassionate and helpful to those people who are going to come to us needing some assistance. So this is a very direct message today to you. This is Ascension. It is called officially Stargate Ascension, but you don't need to know what that means. But we are changing on the planet. The planet is also changing, but you don't have to worry about that either. The simplest thing that you can do is become aware of your internal thoughts and the conversations that you have, and begin to focus less on being afraid and being limited and in scarcity and being restricted, and focus more on what is really good in your life and what brings you joy. And the more that you stay in that place, I can guarantee you the better you're going to feel. Thank you so much for listening to this. If you've enjoyed this message, please subscribe, please like and share my video. And if you would like more information, please go to my website at Bosie International, BOSIE international.com. And until next time, thank you for listening.